You keep quitting on yourself and you hate that you do that. But here's the truth. It's not that you're lazy. It's just that you don't trust yourself to get it done. You have a goal, you have an ambition, you have something that you want to do, but you don't think that you're worthy of actually accomplishing that thing. If that sounds like you, then this episode is for you. I know that feeling because I personally have lived it for many years. I looked like I had it together, but inside I was always constantly second guessing myself. Today I want to help you break that cycle for good, so let's get into it. The first point is that you were never really taught what it means to trust yourself, meaning that you were always taught that you just need to perform, but nobody really ever sat you down and taught you exactly what it means to trust yourself, trust your judgment, and to trust your abilities. And no one really ever sat you down to teach you how to actually develop that skill or that ability to be able to trust in the things that you can do. So because of that, you second guess yourself and you're always constantly thinking over and over about if you have the ability to do something. And anytime that you're faced with a goal or a dream or an objective or something that you want to do, you always question if you can actually accomplish that thing, because ultimately you don't trust that you can do it. You haven't put in enough repetition yet to actually rely on your skill and your experience, so you feel less than and you feel like you actually can't do it. One of the things that I actually live by and I learned a couple years ago, that was the concept of steal like an artist. So because I wanted to accomplish certain things in my life, right, and I didn't feel like I was equipped to do that, it always kept me back from actually executing and going after that thing, because I didn't think I had the skills and I didn't think I was built for it. But after I learned the concept of stealing like an artist, things became a lot clearer for me because it gave me a plan. And what I mean by steal like an artist, it means that if you want to do something, let's say build a business, for example, you may not feel equipped right now to build a business. You may not know what the foundation of a business are. You may not know how to market your business, how to create a product, how to sell a product. You may not even know where to begin, but what you can do is find someone who's doing the thing that you want to do. And this can be in real life. This can be on the internet. It can be on YouTube. You find someone who's doing the thing that you want to do and who's living the life that you want to live. And now what you do is you look and see what they're doing and you find out, how can I learn those skills and how can I build myself up to become the person that actually can build a business or be an entrepreneur in that way or be an athlete in that way. This is the concept of steal like an artist, because it means that you're taking away the excuse that you're not good enough or you're lacking certain skills, and you're actually now starting to apply based off of the evidence of someone who's done it before. One of my favorite quotes, I believe this is from Pablo Picasso, is "Good artists copy, great artists steal." Meaning, when you find that role model, that person that you want to build your life and do the thing that they want to be doing, you don't want to just copy what they're doing, because you're never going to be able to fully copy who they are and fully copy the advantages and skills and talents that they have. You're always going to be a less than version of them if you're trying to copy, right? Good artists copy, but great artists steal, meaning you take some of those skills that they have. If they're good at marketing, look at why they're good at marketing and how they're crafting their messaging. And you learn how to do that as well. You take those skills and then you apply it to your skill set and apply it to those things that you want to do. If you are looking at an athlete and you're trying to train for a sport, look at some of the great athletes and look at how they train, look at how they eat, look at how they rest, and look at how they live their lives, and then you take those pieces and apply them to your life. You're not trying to become someone else, but you're trying to learn from them. So the concept of steal like an artist, you can think about it in a different way. Learn from those that are doing the thing that you want to be doing. The next one is that quitting often happens quietly. It doesn't happen all at once. Think about a time when you started going, for example, to the gym and you're consistently working out. You're working out 2 to 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week. You're doing cardio, you're doing fitness classes, yoga, whatever it is. You're in a consistent groove and you're going and going. And then life happens, you get a little busy, you have a birthday party here and there, you have a little fun weekend, and you decide that you just don't feel like doing it today. So you're going to take a rest day and you'll pick it back up tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, you might or you may not go to the gym and do that workout. And then again, you miss another workout and you think back to yourself that you've proven to yourself that you can pick it back up. So you'll go back tomorrow. It's okay if you miss another day. The day turns into 2 days. It turns into 3 days, turns into a month, 3 months, 6 months. And all of a sudden you look back and you say, what happened? I was consistently working out 3-6 months ago, but now I'm back in this form again where I'm not working out. I've gained all the weight back. I'm out of shape now and I'm doing all the habits that I was doing before. How did my life get here? And that is because it happens very, very quietly. And it's not that you wake up one day and you decide, I'm going to quit the gym today. That's not how it works. You don't just decide that you're going to quit. It's a series of small little events that take you out of that element, and ultimately you find yourself a couple of steps back. You have to prioritize the things that are good for you. You have to prioritize the things that you want to do to better yourself, to better your life, better your mindset. You have to schedule those things into your day, and realizing that we all have 24 hours in a day. We all have things that we have to take care of. We all have people that rely on us, and some people are parents, some people are taking care of children, they're taking care of their significant others. There's a lot of different things that are going to pull you all throughout your day, but you also have to be conscious of that and realize that the times that you do have, instead of spending it watching Netflix or spending it doing things that waste time and just sitting around, you can utilize that time to now spend and do the thing that you want to do. Build that business. You can spend it training, going and actually getting back in shape. So you just have to realize that life is about prioritizing. We do the things that we want to do, and then we make time for the things that we want to make time for. And if we don't do those things, it just means it's not a priority in your life. If you are ready to rebuild trust with yourself, subscribe to the channel. I drop new episodes every week to help you stop quitting and to finally follow through with your goals. So let's get back into it. The next one is you've confused overthinking with being responsible. You hide behind responsibility. I am not going to do this thing, or I'm going to give up on this thing that I'm doing because I need to be responsible for these other things in my life. You pick and choose what you put importance into. You pick and choose what you want to be responsible to in your life. And when you start going after your goals and you find that it's becoming more difficult than you thought for not the reasons that you think, you start to deprioritize that thing and you start to hide behind the fact that there's other things in your life that you could be doing and you're responsible for those things. So you end up quitting and giving up on your goal. And that's something you have to be very conscious of. Sometimes responsibility is real. Responsibility is real because life is real and things happen. And there's people that we're responsible to. But oftentimes you'll find any excuse to quit when things get too hard. There's one of my favorite quotes from Bill Besick, a sports psychology. He says that there's many excuses not to do something, but there's never a single reason not to do it. We always find excuses, but there's no reason why we shouldn't go after our goals and our dreams. But there's plenty of excuses that we come up with, and you have to be conscious of that and realize that if you want to move on that thing and stop giving up all the time that you're faced with adversity, then you need to commit and move forward. The next one is that you crave certainty before committing. You want to be 100% sure about a decision. The interesting thing about life and the funny thing about this whole concept is that there's only one way to be 100% certain about something, and that's to actually go through with it. The only way you will ever know whether or not that thing was right or wrong, or whether or not you get an answer, is by actually doing it. And the act of doing something is your answer. That's where the answer comes out of. And most oftentimes we don't think of it that way. We don't think of the fact that if we're uncertain about something and we're thinking about it over and over and over again and ultimately end up quitting, we never know what the alternative would have been, because we didn't actually do the thing. We didn't do what's required in order to get the answer. To get the answer of something you're not sure of, you have to actually do it. So that's a very, very hard thing to understand, and that's something you have to wrap your mind around when you start chasing after your goals, is that the only way to know whether your goals are right or whether your actions are right is to actually go through it. So you have to actually make progress and take action today. Clarity is always going to come after action. Your answer is going to always come after you take action. So make sure that you're taking action on those things that you've been putting off for a long time. This next one here is, you think that you need more discipline, but you actually need to give yourself permission. Discipline is absolutely essential. Any great athlete, entrepreneur, anything you can think of, someone who's accomplished something extremely difficult, is a very disciplined person, meaning that they have the ability and have cultivated and developed the ability to do the same things day in and day out, despite how they feel. Even if they don't feel like it, they know that their discipline will get them up and carry them forward. It's a great thing to have, but you also need to give yourself permission to actually go and do the thing. A lot of times it's a lot of insecurity and a lack of self-trust that holds us back and ultimately makes us give up on the things that we want to do, because you're not sure if you have what it takes in terms of the skill. You know you have the discipline, you know you have the ability to stick to something and grind in and grind day out, but you're not sure you have the skill set to actually execute on that. So you have to realize that you've got to give yourself the permission to fail. You have to give yourself the permission to be wrong. And the key here is you also have to give yourself the permission to be right, because two things can happen. You either get something from it, or you fail and you learn and you try again. That's really the answer, and that's really the mental model that you need to be thinking about when you go through these decisions, is that you either succeed or you fail and you learn from it. So either way, you technically win, and it's just a matter of how much are you willing to tolerate. Going into the next one, it's that you've abandoned your goals because you're afraid of disappointing other people. How many of you, if you think right now, have had an idea in your head, something that you've always wanted to do? Maybe you wanted to start a business, maybe you wanted to start creating content, start a side hustle, go after a certification, change a job, move to another city. Maybe you've wanted to do this thing and you really, really do believe that you can do it. You actually can visualize and see yourself doing it, and you're pretty close to starting that process of getting that thing done. But then you think about what other people are going to think, you think about what other people are going to say, and how they're going to perceive that thing that you want to do. Your friends, your family, society at large. You think about all those things, and then all of a sudden, the thing that you were so sure you wanted to do, you actually don't even want to do it anymore. You tell yourself that you are not going to do it because it's not the right thing, or you find any type of excuse, and you end up just putting it off to the side and throwing it away as just another one of those ideas that you had but didn't execute. That is very dangerous, because when you think about it, you had an idea, you had a dream, you had a goal, and ultimately you threw it away because you cared what other people thought about it. Think of it that way. Think of it that way, that you're throwing away this dream that you had because of potentially what people will say. When you think about it this way, it really will change how you feel about the things that you don't take action on. And it puts a bigger level of importance now on all the things that you think about, because now in your mind, you can't get it out of your mind that I'm quitting on this goal. I'm giving up this goal for other people. That's going to now be in your mind, and it's actually going to make you take that action and actually chase that goal, because you now understand that your goals, your dreams are more important than potentially what other people will say about them. What should really, really scare you is the fact that when you give up on your dreams and goals, you'll never ever find out what the alternative would have been. You will never know how your life or somebody else's life would have changed if you had just done the thing. You will never know what would have come out of that, and you would have never know who you could have become if you just give up on that thing. The moment you start to think of your goals and dreams in this way is the moment that you will stop giving up on a lot of them, because it's going to scare you, the fact that you can live your whole life but never actually bring these things out into the world. The next one is that you expect instant proof or instant results whenever you make a decision. This is an interesting one, because this kind of goes at the heart of society at large and the world that we live in now, with the invention of the internet and social media and things of that nature. Information is passed on to us, or we find it in an instant, and it's just getting faster and faster. We now start to live our lives in that way. We want results fast. We want to make a decision and know in that moment what the ramifications of that decision is. And oftentimes, the goals that you set in life that are typically your dreams, they take a long time to cultivate. So they take a long time to grow. And that's increasingly getting harder and harder to reconcile. And you see it in society. You see it with a lot of people that are frustrated because they're not where they want to be in life, because they're trying to play the short game instead of playing the long game. Most people are not looking at a 10, 15, 20-year play. They're trying to make a decision now and all of a sudden be an instant millionaire in 6 months. They're looking to make a decision now and have that six-pack abs in 2 weeks, right? That's the kind of thinking and the kind of mentality that's out there. And anytime that you ask any person that's built a great business, they'll tell you that it took a long time and took a lot of work to get where they are. Any athlete that's performing at the highest levels will tell you that it took a long time in the gym. It took a long time with nutrition. It took a lot of pain and effort to get wherever they are. Any person that's in a job, in a position, or has a certification that's highly coveted will tell you that it took work and it took patience. And that's something that you need to start really developing if you're going to be in this for the long run, because what we're not going to do on this channel is do things that are quick fixes, do those 5-minute six-pack abs type of thing. We're looking at more of the long term. We're looking at more of the journey to get us to where we want to be, because it's going to be a journey. The way that I like to look at life now is, because I used to be that person that wanted the six-pack in 2 weeks, right? But now my mindset has changed since I've started creating content and looking towards building a business, is I look at life the same way a farmer would look at their farm and their crop. There are seasons when certain crops grow. There are seasons when the rain comes, and there are seasons where there's no rain. And a farmer knows that whenever they plant a crop, that they have to cultivate it, and that it's going to take a long time, and that they have to nurture it. And it's going to take a little while before that crop actually blooms into a full-fledged crop. So that seed has to go through its process, and the farmer has to be patient. The farmer can't just sit there and wonder why their crops are not blooming in 2 days after just planting them. Sometimes they have to plant these things and wait months and months ahead. And just having that level of patience is what I try to bring in life and what I'm trying to help you understand as well. And hopefully you can develop in your life that if you start to look at your life in the same way a farmer would look at their life, you now start to see the long game and you start to be at peace and okay with things taking a little bit longer. Also understanding that you have to do the work. You have to do the work, but you have to be very patient in waiting for the work to turn into results. Which brings us into the next one, and that is you keep lowering your standards just so you can avoid failure. This one is a funny one and a pretty interesting one, because if you're an ambitious person, a person with big dreams and big goals, you keep it inside of your head and you keep it inside of here and you know exactly what you want. But because you don't fully trust yourself yet, you haven't put in the repetitions to develop that confidence that comes with time, you take that big dream and then you don't see yourself in it. You don't see the skill set in yourself to be able to accomplish it. So you take it and then you lower it into something that's more manageable for you. And then you feel a little bit better to go after that thing. For example, if you have a goal to build a full-on business and you want to be a business owner and run your own business one day and potentially grow that business, if you haven't developed the skill set yet to be a business owner, it's going to feel very daunting, which it should. But then instead of going and slowly learning to become a business owner, you decide, I'll just settle for a side hustle. Nothing wrong with a side hustle. And if that's what you want, then that is great. But if you have higher ambitions than that, settling really means you're throwing something away. Again, you look at your goals and your dreams in that way. You're throwing something away that means that much to you. So thinking about it that way should really fire you up to say, no, I'm not going to just settle. Yes, it starts with a side hustle. It starts with that seed and I'm going to nurture it and water it. But ultimately, I want to go for something even bigger and I'm going to trust in my ability to learn. I'm going to trust in my ability to follow in other people's footsteps that have been there. And I'm going to steal like an artist, meaning find somebody that's doing the thing that I want to be doing. And I'm going to learn how they got there and how I can improve my own skill set so that I can do that thing as well. So it's really a change in mindset. And the quicker you make that change in perspective, the better you're going to feel about your goals. The next one is that the real fix to why you keep giving up is not because you lack motivation. We talked about discipline earlier and how you're hiding behind responsibility and how discipline is good, but now we're talking about motivation. There is the famous quote that a lot of the motivators will tell you, and that is that motivation is crap. Motivation doesn't work. You don't need to rely on motivation. I don't believe in that. Motivation is actually a good thing. You need to rely on motivation. Because if you're not motivated to do anything in life, you're never going to have that initial spark to actually do the thing. So I believe in reframing the way I think about motivation is good to get you up every now and then, but motivation is not sustainable for a 12-month period. You're not going to be motivated 365 days a year. You might be motivated today, and then you might be motivated on Thursday. But what happens to those days in between? That is when that discipline comes into play. So remember to always keep motivation in your back pocket. Don't throw it away, because even I have days where sometimes I might not be feeling it. So I'll listen to something that's motivational. I'll go and listen to one of my favorite podcasters, and it'll motivate me and fire me up, and it's going to spark something in me that then I will add to, and I will put the logs in that fire and build upon, and then it'll carry me for several weeks. And then I might have a downturn as well, where I need another spark of motivation, right? That's kind of what it's good for. But ultimately know that even on those days where I don't feel like doing it, I don't feel like working out, I don't feel like sitting down and creating an outline for a video, I don't feel like designing a thumbnail, I don't feel like thinking about strategy and business strategy, things of that nature. But I know that in order to get to where I want to get to, I have to do those things even when I don't feel like it. And one of my favorite quotes, I believe, was from Mike Tyson, and he was talking about discipline. And he was saying that discipline is the ability to do things that you don't like as if you like to do those things. And coming from a boxing champion and a fighter like Mike Tyson, and me understanding the world of fighting, there is a lot of times when you don't feel like fighting. But if you want to be that champion and you want to be at the level that Mike Tyson was, you're going to have to do those things that you don't like to do as if you love them. And the sooner you embrace that, the sooner you start to live that lifestyle, you'll be very shocked at how much progress you can make and how little things you're going to quit on, because now you understand that it's supposed to be hard. It's not easy. It is supposed to be hard. And that's normal. Because that's normal, you just keep going because that's normal. The next one is when you start to trust yourself again, following through becomes natural. Notice I didn't say following through becomes easy, because following through something is never going to be easy, really. You're always going to have a level of resistance because your mind is always want to go back to the thing that's most comfortable. And the thing that's most comfortable is sitting and not actually doing anything because it's quote unquote safe. That's kind of where your mind wants to go to. But when you start to build confidence and when you start to trust in your abilities to learn and your abilities to navigate when you don't know something, and understanding that you're going to figure it out either way, even if it feels scary, it starts to become more natural, meaning that when a decision comes in front of you and you have to decide on something or you have to do something, you'll feel that resistance. You'll feel it, and you're going to want to turn back and walk away. But because you now trust in yourself and you have developed over time the ability to follow through, you actually will follow through and make the decision, because that belief you have in yourself now is now stronger than the disbelief that you had in yourself. You've become stronger and you've become a more confident person who doesn't give up when things get tough. If you are done quitting on yourself, the next step is to break the habits that keep you stuck. Watch this next episode here to uncover the 10 habits that are keeping you stuck in your head and keeping you stuck in life.